Adding toothpicks, using the high temperature on your glue gun, adding extra beads of hot glue, cutting a slot in your cardboard, or even using the barbed method where you don't need hot glue are all amazing ways to make super strong cardboard connections. So for adding toothpicks, what this will allow you to do is connect pieces of cardboard end to end in a really strong way. All you need to do is get your toothpick or maybe like a little skewer or metal rod and poke it through one of the pieces of cardboard. And now I'm gonna wanna stab it through the B piece of cardboard. This is pretty strong on its own, but we can make it quite a bit better by adding hot glue. So now I'm gonna wanna pull this back apart, and it was important to stab it through ahead of time because it created holes that these can slide through a lot more easily once they have hot glue on them. Attaching the second piece is gonna be a little bit more tricky because I have to line up both of those toothpicks at the same time. I only really have to put hot glue near the top of the toothpick because the cardboard is going to push any excess all the way down. And if I want to make this even stronger, I can always flatten out these beads of glue here and add some more of my own over the top. And there is our finished, super strong toothpick cardboard connection. Method number 2 is only going to apply to some of you because you're going to need a glue gun that can flip to the high temperature mode. So if you're operating on low temperature, that's great for more delicate crafts, but high temperature is going to give you a longer working time because the glue won't cool down as fast. And that will allow you to get a stronger bond because of two things. Number one, the glue is a little bit more liquid and will seep into the gaps on your cardboard better. And two, because of that longer working time, the glue is still hot when you put surfaces together, so it's important to go on the high setting if you're going to make a really big cardboard connection. Also, making thick beads of glue will give you a longer working time and stronger connections because the glue, when it's all together, takes a lot longer to cool down. However, because of all of that heat, I gotta apply pressure and hold it there for a bit longer. But hey, if we're just meeting, my name is Eli and this is Maker Brain, where I love to help you access and implement your creativity through hands-on DIY cardboard projects. And if you already got value out of those first 2 tips, then consider smashing the like button down below and subscribing if you want to get more content like this. We still have 3 more tips coming up, including an amazing method where you can connect cardboard without even needing hot glue. But I wanted to call your attention to the description down below, where I have some amazing videos linked up for you, as well as a free resource that helps you understand what kind of cardboard you need to use in your projects. For example, this is C-flute cardboard, which is good for smaller projects. And you can learn stuff like all that and more with that free guide in the description. Method number 3 is to add an extra bead of hot glue. So how this is going to work is if you're making like a T-joint in your cardboard projects or even any kind of corner, normally you want to glue one of the surfaces together just like this. It's pretty normal. But then once this is cooled down, you can go and create a little extra connection all the way down the side. This gives that joint way more strength, but sometimes these beads can come out looking a little ugly. So if you want to clean them up, you can always get your finger wet. Sometimes I do that by licking it and then slide it along that glue once it's cooled down a little bit. Don't do this while it's super hot. If you're going to make connections that involve holding a little bit more weight, especially if you're making a shelf or something like that, take one piece of cardboard and it's going to go in a slot on the other piece of cardboard down here, but we don't want to cut all the way through. I'll put this piece on the back and then trace along the edges to make sure I just get the width of this cardboard piece. If you want to know how thick each kind of cardboard is, you can always learn that with the guide that I have linked in the description below. Then we're going to take our X-Acto knife and slide it just through the top layer of cardboard and then the corrugation in the middle, but we want to leave the bottom layer completely intact. Then you want to scrape out this middle section right here. Now, because my traced lines were a little bit bigger than the actual width of the cardboard, I have a little bit of play here, and you could always actually make it a little bit smaller than the width and sort of squish the corrugation to get it to fit into a tight spot where it'd have an even stronger connection, but it doesn't really matter once we fill this all up with hot glue. Then we can always add an extra bead along the edges. Now what this does for us is that if we put weight down on this piece of cardboard, it's not only relying on the glue to hold it up, but it's actually held up by this piece of cardboard down here. It does take a little bit of strength away from our upright right here, but to make this even better, you could always glue another piece of cardboard to the back of this. So you kind of had 2 layers, and then you could create like a really strong shelf. We're here at that method I told you about before. This doesn't even require any hot glue. To get there, you're gonna want to start out by making a barb. I call it a barb because it can be pushed into the cardboard, but you can't really ever pull it back out. Now, when you're making your barb, if you can have the piece that you'll slot it into available at the same time, it makes it a lot easier. So what I'm gonna do with this is start out by creating this shape. Now, when you create your barb, you want this section right here to be a little bit smaller than the width of your cardboard. You can see it's probably a little bit too wide right here, so I can make some adjustments and fix that so that it gets a little bit tighter. And if you wanted, you could make this smaller and have multiples going down your cardboard, especially if you had a really long piece of cardboard. Then you can see this gap right here is going to be the width of your slot. So you want these lines right here to be lined up with this ends of these arrowheads. So I can make a line along my slot piece that is just the right size. And for the slot, it doesn't need to be the actual width of the cardboard. We'll get a tighter connection if we create a little bit of pressure in here. So I'm gonna just cut a little thin slot for it to fit through, because it'd be pretty hard to squeeze it through if it was just a slit. And now we'll cut out the barb section. And now we just have to squeeze the edge of the cardboard a little bit to make sure that it can fit through our undersized slot, and then fold over our barbs. Once we have that, we can push it through the cardboard and open those barbs back up. It will all be a little rumpled and will hold your cardboard on strongly, but this does depend upon the orientation of the grain. So this one has the grain going up and down long ways, which meant that folding it and doing this stuff caused a little bit more damage. You can tell it doesn't come, it sort of has a weak fold right there. But in my other model, the grain is going forward and backward, and these flaps are much stronger. This is actually only one way to connect your cardboard without hot glue, so if you want to learn like 5 more of these, click or tap on this video right here, where I share a bunch of other ways to mechanically connect your cardboard. Even if you have a hot glue gun, some of these methods will be really useful because you can add glue to them to make them even stronger. I pray that your cardboard creations would come out better than ever before. As always, my name's Eli Tennant, this is Maker Brain, and have a blessed day.